What's going on, everyone? Today we're going to be working on this turkey fan. The customer wanted this for a Reaper. Um, it doesn't have to be pretty, but we're going to set it up, and I'm going to show you guys how you could, preserve a fan mount today. Um, so the first thing we're going to do is, if you're going to do this for a mount, you're going to keep all the secondary feathers, and then you could clean all this out. All these extra little feathers. And then the main goal is to take out as much meat as you can. So right here, we're gonna take out all that meat, and then in the back also, you're gonna take out all these feathers, and you're gonna get all the meat out from the bottom. You want to get as close as the quills as you can, um, and then we're gonna put in borax. First thing we're gonna do is once it's defrost, or if you want to just stick it in the water while it's still frozen, you can. We're gonna get a bucket or some type of big container that you're able to put this in. You're gonna fill it with some warm water, lukewarm, just to get out all that dirt. And also put some Dawn dish soap. Try to get that strong Dawn, and it's gonna make it very clean, and it's gonna get out all that dirt and extra stuff that's in here. So that's what we're gonna do first, and I'll show you the process as we go along. All right, so I'm gonna fill this bucket. I'm gonna put the Dawn dish soap now. So this is what I'm using, professional grade Dawn. Just gonna pour some in there. It doesn't have to be too crazy, just enough. All right, so that's good enough. You just want it deep enough that you're able to put the actual fan into. You're gonna put it in there, shake it around. You can leave it in here for a little while. It's not gonna hurt the feathers. You want to do this because if you don't, it usually doesn't tend to dry very nice. The feathers are all messed up. This keeps all the feathers nice and intact. It's been sitting in here for a little bit. Make sure you shake it out. You do now. You just like kind of softly strain it out. So here in the next thing, you can do two things. You can fill the bucket with water again. Make sure you get all the soap out. And you can fill it up, or you could just get a hose, with a light shower, and take out all that extra soap that's stuck in there. Like I said, this is going to be used for a Reaper. If it's a little messed up, we're going to see how that comes out. That's all you're trying to do here is just make sure you get all that soap out of there. Strain it out, as softly as you can. And then you're going to get a towel. And you're going to wrap it up. I like to give myself a little room, leave the meat out, because we're going to work on that now. You want to make sure you don't damage the feathers. Keep it on the towel so it kind of dries up a little bit. And then you're gonna grab. I'm gonna use a scalpel today, but you can use a knife. And so this is the back side, right? So all these little feathers you're gonna take off. So you're gonna cut right here, take it off. Like I said, don't cut down because you're gonna mess up the main quills, and that's just gonna make your life a little harder. So just gonna cut all those feathers and the meat off. Okay, throw it in the garbage. Okay, so when you have your fan, there you have a bone right here on the inside. All right, you want to cut that bone. So what I like to do, I get my scissors and I kind of make like a little triangle here. Right there. If you have a shitty knife, scissor like I do, you can kind of help yourself out with the knife. All right. So now you're able to have a little bit more maneuverability with your feathers, and then you're just gonna keep chipping away at the meat. Flip it around. These little feathers you can take off. You just don't want to go to the secondary feathers here. Okay, this is another important thing. Right here, you have a gland. All right, you want to get the gland out, because if not, it's gonna smell horrible. So that's pretty much what you want to see. You can still get out all that little meat, but it's gonna be all right. Okay. So there's two things you can do now. You can either keep it in the towel, have a fan on it, to get this nice and dry, or you could get a little blow dryer and blow it out, which is what we're gonna do today. If you wanted to get crazy, you could even get like hot glue in whatever position you're gonna put it on, and that's always gonna be good. We're gonna probably do that today since he's gonna use this for a reaper. It's gonna be more sturdy, and it's gonna be better for when you're on the move. So I got my blow dryer, and we're just gonna lay it out and blow it out. All right, next thing you're gonna want to do, get a regular cardboard box. It can be shorter, doesn't matter. This was some pins that I was working on another fan. Put those to this. You could do this right on top, but I'm gonna put another one just here, just so later on, once it dries, I'm able just to take out the cardboard. But you want something with a gap, because now we're gonna put some pins, and if you put pins to this cardboard, you're not gonna do anything. So here's a fan. Get your pins, your sewing pins, any kind of, if you got nails, whatever you want to use. But you're gonna want to grab the feathers all the way at the bottom here and open it. Okay, you're gonna get your pin. You're gonna go right off to the side so it has tension there. You're gonna do the same thing on the other side. Right around, you want to make it straight. So I'm gonna go right there. Okay, so now as you can see, we have some gaps. I don't know how this turkey was, but you're gonna move all the feathers and kind of make it uniform. And then you're gonna want to look at the feathers and see how they're placed. So the first feather is on the bottom, and then all the rest of them like goes on top. So you're gonna want to just do the same thing. So what we're gonna do, you put some tension on it. That's why I said I get a nice cardboard, because this does tend to move on you a little bit. Didn't see that one there. It's all right. Yeah, he had a little messed up feather here. You could always rotate it, cut it off, glue it back on, kind of twist it a little bit, but that's how that turkey was, so that's how it's gonna stay. Okay, so right here you have these feathers. These are the ones in the back. So we're gonna try to cover that up. This is when you start getting into, do I cut those feathers in the back? Because sometimes they do get in the way. So that's what we're gonna do. I'm just gonna cut them off. Get your knife again. So right now we're just gonna cut the feathers in the back. All right, so we're gonna rotate it. We're gonna do the same process again. So we're gonna spread it out. Make sure you grab the bottom feather. Okay. And like I said before, just gonna place them on top, kind of a uniform fashion. You could move it to the side a little bit. Make sure you're getting as much space as you can. I have to adjust this, put it into the meat so it doesn't move around. Just trying to play with it. You also need more pins, but you do want the pins in the middle. Okay. So, okay. So like I said, this fan isn't perfect. It's very beat up. Um, but we're gonna try our best here. Okay, and if you do have like these feathers, they're not aligned. You can just grab the actual feather and kind of like, uh, comb it into it being uniform. It helps if your fingers are a little wet, and you're just gonna want to flatten it out like so. Like I said, I'm not really too worried about this one because it is gonna be a reaper, but it's a good example. Okay, so now if you have something like this, I don't know if you can see. So right there, this is broke off probably from fighting or mishandling. If you do have something like this, you get some super glue and put it back, and it's gonna just stay like that. Okay. Okay. Like I said, you're just gonna want to play with the feathers, kind of position them in the right way. So you're kind of getting somewhere. Um, right here, he had like a feather that was kind of growing in a weird way, so you're gonna naturally have a hole right here, and that's okay. Every animal is different. They That's why we're preserving them to keep the memory of how they were. So that's how I like to keep my animals. So all right. So right now we have all the feathers lined up. It's not the prettiest, but hope you get the idea. Uh, okay, so now you're gonna do your secondary feathers, and you're gonna do the same thing. You're gonna just play with it, make sure they cover all the holes, all the gaps. So he still has these feathers are growing out, but you're gonna want to do the same thing. And you're gonna look at the feathers. You don't want to put it on top if the bottom's coming from the top. You just want to keep everything as natural as it could be. So you see that I wet my finger, and then Just want it kind of damp, you know. Gonna play with it. Gotta get those feathers back together. Okay. That's kind of how I'm gonna keep it. I'm gonna fix these feathers a little bit, but most important part is to keep your pins here and in the meat, so nothing moves. Um, like I said, you can fix this. I'll do it now for you guys. All right, so you want to get your super glue. You know, you can get a little piece of stick, or you can even use that pin. A little more. Make sure you're not, touching any other feathers. Just put a little bit. Kind of hold it there. Make sure you're not getting in contact with the glue. Okay, and that's it. That's all you got to do. Just a little bit of glue, and you're ready to go. All right, so next thing you're gonna want to do, get your borax. This is great to preserve, stuff like this. Something I forgot to do is we should have put some borax under here before we set up everything, because now to get borax under there is going to be very tricky. But you just want to, pour it on there. Like I said, we kind of messed up. I should have done that first. So we're gonna have to, push some borax in there, make a little mountain in there, just so it could take out all the moisture from the meat and the fat that's in there. All right, so we put borax under here. You can put more, make it a mountain. It doesn't matter if you get it on the feathers; it'll just shake off later on once it hardens. Okay, and if you're still questionable of how the fan is presenting, you can always pin each feather. Okay, and all this stuff too. Once it's dry, you could sit there and you could fix every feather. So that's kind of how you want it to look. This is one I've been working on. It's been drying. So we had the borax here. I took out the pins already. So you could get it. You go outside, shake it off. It's super hard. This only took about a week. Because we did take out so much fat. You can leave it longer. Everyone recommends about 3 to 4. But the more meat you take off, the faster it is going to dry. And then that's able to go onto your fan mount. I'm gonna fix these feathers, the same way, just damp fingers, kind of comb them to how it looks perfect. But that's basically it. All right, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you thought it was informative. And if you do have any other tips or any questions, feel free to contact me. But if you do like the video, please follow and share with your friends. If you happen to do your own mount, just send me a picture or share it with me. I'd love to see it. Uh, but like I said, all these little feathers here, you just comb it out. My hands are kind of dry, but you kind of comb them to where they sit nicely. And yeah, good luck this season. Stay dirty. Later.